In this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to set up your database and what a database is, all the important terminology that you need to know, and how Softr connects to that database. So let's get started. First, you can see that I'm in Softr here, and this is the final app that we are going to be building together. But I want to show you that when you click on a block in Softr, for example, this is a dynamic block, it exposes the data that it's connected to. And in this case, we are in the source tab. We go down here and we see that we have this data source that we're connected to. And you can add a lot of other data sources too. So you can use many different data sources with Softr. And the best part is you can use different data sources with Softr for different blocks on the same page. So for example, I could use an Airtable data source for this block. And then for this block over here for my orders, maybe that's Google Sheets or HubSpot. So you can bring multiple data sources together. With that being said, we have the source, we have the base, and then we have what we call tables, all right? And so you can see that there are a lot of different tables here. And these tables represent the same tables that we have over here in Airtable. And so the way that we organize our data is with tables. And then within tables, we have what we call fields. And so in this example, we have our users table. The users table is very central to every single application. The users table normally contains the email for all the users, as that's the unique property that we'll use in Softr to map your users to your application. Once you're in your users table here, we have different fields. And the way that you could check or inspect your field is you can click on the down caret and go to edit field. And then from there, you can see that you have a lot of different field types. Now, what this means is that you're able to format the data that you want in this field in different ways. So in this example, the field that I'm using is email. So I want to format this field as an email field. This tells the database the type of data that it's expecting to receive and formats it nicely for you. If we go over to our name field here, we can see that this is formatted as a single line text. Very simple, just text. We'll be using single line text a lot. For our roles over here, this goes back to the user groups that we discussed in the last episode, our warehouse managers and our sales managers. And the way that we're controlling that with Softr and Airtable is by this field called role. And in this case, we're using a single select. Single select means that you can choose one of the options below, not multiple, so they can only belong to one of the user groups. They're either a warehouse manager or a sales manager. Now, if you wanted them to be able to select it to multiple user groups, you could use a multi-select. But usually in a role scenario, you're just allowing them to belong to one of those groups. I do want to point out that even though we're using the role field to help with our user group enrollment for this inventory management app, there are several ways that you can do this within Softr. For example, you can manually add users to user groups that are relevant, or using the fields on the user table, you can dynamically enroll those users into those user groups or exit them from that user group in an automated way using Softr's powerful user group system. Over here for our profile, what we're calling our avatar, we're using an attachment field. The attachment field allows you to upload images to that so you can show those images in Softr. And finally, over here we have sales orders. And now this one looks a bit different. We see the numbers over here. And so what this is showing us is that we have a relationship between this table right here. And so it's bringing in and connecting these two tables together. Why do we do that? In our case, we wanted to structure the data so that we could see the sales managers and the orders that they're responsible for. By doing this, it allows us to visualize that data in Softr. And in this specific graph, we're able to show the revenue that a specific salesperson brought in by linking the sales to the related user in this way. So in this example, we see Olivia Brown is responsible for $12,000 worth of sales. And if we go over here and we see Olivia Brown right here, we see that it's connected to this sales order. And if we go over to this table, we see that sales order number 12 has a order value of $12,000. So that's a great way to connect tables together if you need to connect related items. This is called a linked field. And we can get in there by editing the field, and we can link to other records in this table. It's a very popular structure that we'll be using a lot because this allows you to build one table and then to relate it or link it to other tables as you need to connect that data together without having to duplicate the data or manage the data and keep it updated in several different areas. All right, so we have our tables, we have our fields, and then within each of these, we have records. So this entire row would be called a record. That's James's user record. All right. Beyond that, let's talk about some of the core tables that we have. Now, I'm not going to go through and build all of this together, but I am going to give you access to the template where you can access this database and see the final result for your own reference. However, let's talk about the main relationships that we have in this table. So as we've already discussed, we have our users table. This is the main table. Every single app really needs a users table because that's how we link all of the data back to the user. So when the user signs up, we link that data to that user so the user can see their own data. All right. Beyond the user table, we have our products table. Now, the products table is where we manage all of our inventory. So this could be for many different types of products, but we're storing it within one table. And in our case, we're owning a warehouse that supplies parts for the solar industry. So in our situation, we have a ton of different solar parts. We have inverters, wiring kits, battery storage. These are the products that we carry in our warehouse. And so it's a list of products. And if I want to add more products to our product catalog, I can just simply click here and then add a new row and it'll add new products. You can see within this table that we have more fields. We have the product name field, how much we're actually selling this product for, what we're purchasing, so we're finding out what the margin is between those two fields, the description, and for the description, we're using a long text here to accommodate long paragraph text, make that easier to use. We have an image field, and then we have some other formula fields here that we're able to use called formula or lookup fields where we're pulling data from other tables and showing key metrics. So the units purchased or the units available. Now this is all smart, pulling from quantities of purchase orders made, sales orders made, and it's all linking back here to show a real-time update of what is the inventory level for this product. Very key to this app. Again, you can reference the template example to really get into the details of how these are put together. But it's a very handy way to structure your data in a real-time dynamic way that's always updated with one central source of truth. Beyond that, we have more linked fields. So we're showing the related orders that this product relates to and the related purchase orders from the suppliers where we bought more of this product to then sell in another way. All right. And finally, we show the related suppliers that we buy this product from. Beyond this, we have our sales orders. So these are all the orders that have been made through our inventory. Now, maybe since we only have 5 orders, maybe it's a newer warehouse and we're just getting started. For our sale order items, these are all the items that make up a sales order. So think about a sale where you can have one sale, but within that sale, they're buying multiple parts. And so the sales order items is where we have multiple parts making up one sale. And the way we structured this is that the sales order and then the order items here. And you can see all the items that are part of that order. And again, this is using a lookup field, which takes the products from the order table, brings them back here and links them all together in a smart, dynamic way. Beyond our sales orders, we have our purchase orders. Now, this is where we buy more inventory from our suppliers. And with this inventory, we are tracking the amount of that order and the status of that order. So in the application, we have an inventory page. Go to inventory, and we can see a list of all of our inventory here. Now we can go and add a product, or specifically for our purchase orders, we can go to our purchase order, and we can see a list of all of our purchase orders, and we can create a new order. Now, when we create a new order, the status of such is not automatically received, meaning we've submitted the order, but we actually haven't received the inventory yet. So that's where this status field comes in for a single select. We can choose to create an order that we're just working on, and so that's our draft. Then we can, from the application, update the status of that order to sent, meaning that we've actually sent this order to the vendor and they're now processing it. And then once that order is received at our warehouse, we can update it to received. So then we know that we have that inventory on hand. And similar to the way that we structured the sales orders with the sell order items, we have the purchase order items. So now these purchase order items are all the items that make up the purchase order, letting us know of the updated inventory that we'll get with each new purchase order. And finally, we have our suppliers. These are the people that we buy product from and showing the related products that they carry and the related purchase orders of all the orders we made from them. So it's not like a bookkeeping system, but it does track a lot in one place. And by having all this data in one database, you're able to visualize it in a really beautiful way and to enable your team members to read that data, see the latest status, take actions on that data with one place. And of course, all of this is using our user groups and our gated role-based permissions, making sure that your users that log in from your company can only see and access the data that relates to them and the roles that they have. So I hope this was a good primer for getting set up with your database. Again, I'll put the link to the template with the final database structure below so you can access it and use it for your own build. Otherwise, that's how you build a database. It's a relational database. We have our tables, our fields, our records. We have our field types. And all of that comes to life in Softr, which allows you to create a beautiful interface for that data to showcase it and allow your users to interact with it. So we've now discussed what we're going to be building. We've discussed the different user permissions that our users will have for this application. And we've even structured our data. I think we're ready to start building our Softr application. Let's do it. So I'll see you in the next lesson, and we'll start creating that application and start bringing it to life in Softr.